Hello everyone! Today we're gonna check this gamepad from Thunderobot, the G70. Starting with the unboxing, you get the controller, a 2.4 GHz dongle, a module for the face buttons, which I'll explain later in this video. And here you have two analog sticks, slightly taller than the original ones. And you also get a clip for your smartphone. And here you have a charging cable, and the manual, which unfortunately it's entirely in Chinese. The Thunderobot G70 have a layout similar to the Xbox controller, but it has trigger stoppers for both triggers. With this, you can regulate the travel distance of the button. It has two back buttons and two shortcuts on the shoulder buttons. As you can see, the front buttons have rubber membranes and they are backlit. The D-pad has clicky switches, and it's very similar to the Xbox Series controller. The back, turbo, function, and start buttons have clicky switches, and the home button has a rubber membrane. The buttons on the bottom are also clicky. The L and R have rubber membranes and they are easy to press at any point. The M3 and M4 have rubber membranes, and the trigger seems to be Hall effect triggers. We'll see that later. The analog stick is very smooth when rotating, and that's because the stick has a metal ring for protection. When testing the back buttons, I found this issue where the M2 button wouldn't click when pressed on some points. The M1 button was fine, but the M2 didn't click on the lower part. We're gonna investigate that on the teardown. The controller has a switch to select input methods, similar to the 8-bit DOE Pro 2. X for X input, S for switch, T for touch, and D for D input. And on the top, you have a USB Type-C port for charging, and a slot for the smartphone clip. This controller has removable face buttons, but the module is very hard to remove with your bare hands. And I already damaged the plastic a little bit by trying to remove it with a spoon before. So my advice to avoid damaging your controller is that you should grab a Q-tip and fold it like this. And with that, you can remove the face buttons. The face buttons connect to the motherboard through the pogo pins that are quite durable and reliable. The modules are nearly identical. The main difference is that one module uses clicky switches and the other uses rubber membranes. One thing to notice is that the module with the clicky switches won't have a backlight. When the controller is on, the pairing button won't work. So to activate pairing mode, you first must turn off the controller. With the lamp button, you can change the brightness of the backlight. By holding it down, it will turn off the RGB lights in the center. And by holding it down and pressing the front buttons, you can toggle the backlight of the buttons on or off. Same thing goes for the ring light on the analog stick. And the rumble button will adjust the rumble intensity. On switch mode, this controller can wake up your device, and with the trigger stoppers you can make the travel distance shorter, which is perfect for a game like Metroid Prime Remastered. It has gyro sensors for aiming, and the function button will also work as the capture button. And the back of the controller can also read Amiibos. On your computer, to use the 2.4 GHz dongle, you must turn the switch to the S mode, then activate pairing mode, and then plug the dongle. You must do the steps at this order or else the dongle won't find the controller. Testing the analog sticks, you can already see that it has dead zones in the axis. But on the circularity test, it's shown a fairly low average error. The D-pad is also very good. The diagonals are easy to access, and you won't press all the directions when you press on the center. Testing the trigger stops, it shows that they will limit the range of the analog sticks. On level 1, it will limit to 30 at max. On level 2, it will limit to 60 to 70. And on level 3, you get the full range. With the function button, you can reprogram the shortcut buttons to any other button you want. The turbo button works as well, and you can also activate it in a toggle mode. By holding down turbo and moving the right stick, you can adjust the turbo speed. And the nice detail is that the ring light will show you the speed. And you can also register macros to the M buttons. And to erase a macro, enable recording mode and press the M button without inputting anything. Moving to the smartphone clip, it doesn't appear to be very resistant. And it can only be fully open or closed. It holds your phone well, but the grip isn't very tight. For your smartphone, you'll want to use the D input mode. In this mode, the function button will activate a virtual mouse. This is very useful when using something like Samsung DeX, as you can use the mouse to control your smartphone at a distance. The right stick will also control the volume of the phone. For games that require touch mapping, you should move the switch to the T mode. And on your smartphone, you're gonna download the Key Linker app. Here you can already see some key presets for some games. When you select a game, it will show an image of the game, and then you can position the buttons. And here you can see that it's working just fine. The stick's dead zones though makes this controller not a good option for games that require precision. And you can add additional buttons in-game too. But here I found this problem. The button won't go past this section of the screen. You can see here that it registered the position correctly, it's just the button image that is in the wrong spot. So when positioning new buttons, you'll want to ignore the image position and focus where your finger is. And you can even see that this is happening with the A and B buttons too. Now it is working correctly. This happens because newer smartphones changed the screen aspect ratio. So I grabbed this old Galaxy S7 to prove my theory. And here you can see that the button image will follow your finger through the whole screen. Moving to the teardown, it's time to discover what's causing the malfunction on the M2 button. You'll find two screws under each front clip. With the screws out, you can pry the sides of the controller. On the back, you can already see the NFC reader and the trigger stop mechanism. Here you can see the Hall effect triggers, all of the connections for the pogo pins, and you can also see the rubber membranes for the M3 and M4 buttons. The switches here don't seem damaged at all. Both sides have the clicky response. But grabbing the back shell, you can see that the M2 button have a sticker on it. So the source of the problem must be here. We're gonna investigate this when we put back the controller. The battery has 860 mAh as advertised. After removing these two flat cables, you can remove the first board. On the other side of this board, you can see that the analog sticks are ALP sticks. They are potentiometer based. The connection of the triggers is made of plastic. This raises some concerns on durability, as just like PS4 controllers, this metal spring may end up cutting the plastic in the long term. The main difference is that you can replace the buttons on the PS4, but you won't have replacements for the Thunderobot G70. And here you can see the rest of the buttons. You can see dumb switches for the D-pad, button switches for the home, back, turbo and function buttons, and rubber pad contacts for the home button. Here's the rest of the shell and the D-pad. Now it's time to check the back buttons. I removed the sticker on the M2 button and closed the shell, and it actually got worse. So I put the sticker back in and added 2 pieces of tape on top of it. Now the M2 button is working as intended. But when I put the screws back in, the M1 button gets problematic. And just by loosening the screw, the M1 button gets back again. Then I tightened the screw again to confirm this. And again, it wasn't working properly. So I opened the shell again and added 4 pieces of tape on the other button. And finally, both buttons are working. Well, as you can see, the Thunderobot G70 has some quality control issues. Well, this could be an isolated problem, so I contacted Thunderobot and they sent me another unit. And the other unit have the same problem. And looking at other reviews on YouTube, I found other reviewers with the same problem that I have.
Primeira coisa que eu não gosto nele, que eu acho que é um defeitinho nele, são esses botões traseiros dele, cara. Eles são meio xoxos, sabe? Quando parece que o botão já está afundado, que não está funcionando direito. É essa sensação que eu tenho quando eu clico eles. Essa é uma coisinha chata assim, mas é que o controle todo ele é muito bom.
This reviewer also had a problem with the triggers, the same that happens with the PS4 controller as I mentioned. This problem, together with the dead zone on the analog sticks and the problem with the app, makes it very hard for me to recommend this controller. The controller have many nice features. I like the trigger stops, I like the removable face buttons, I like the mode switch on the back, and the shortcut buttons on the top is something that only a few controllers have. But unfortunately, these 3 flaws will keep this controller from being ranked among the top controllers I reviewed in this channel. It's up to Thunderobot to fix this, and if they do, I will definitely make an update video here. I reached out for Thunderobot about this issue, and they will offer free replacement instead of repair for every G70 customer. And that's all for this review. If you liked my content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like or a comment. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.